Greetings, everyone. In our efforts to increase Torah study and Torah knowledge as a countermeasure to the terrible events that are happening in the world in general and in Eretz Yisrael in particular, so we also want to address halachas that people may be, not totally up on. So it always needs certain things always need a good review, like the laws of family purity, Hilchos Nida. And even though it's customary to do it during the weeks of Shovavim Tat, this year it's Shovavim Tat, Shmos Verabo B'Shach Yisro Shvatim Truma Tetzav, because it's a leap year. If we start now, maybe we'll finish the book by then. The book that we're going to use is the Mar'eh Kohen. I came to know this book as a newlywed, and it's made the complex laws of family purity very straightforward. It's like I said, it's accompanied me throughout my married life, and I cannot think of a better way to do it. Of course, this doesn't replace a chassan who's engaged, learning with a proper Hilchos Tarsa Mishpacha teacher. But this is definitely good for review and or for an introduction, and it is authoritative. He spoke to the Gedolim of the day, Rav Yoshev and others, so it's quite authoritative. And like I said, in my personal life, I found it very useful. Without further ado, let's get our first installment done before I have to run out to Mincha, down Mincha. So Perek Rishon is, like I said, it's Sefer Mar'eh Kohen from this Rav Reuben from Har Nof. I imagine he's still there. A very big posek. So basically going to the encountering the issue itself, the ways that a woman becomes, tamei nida, and hence becomes prohibited on her husband. So Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Kuf Gosh, Kol Shiyatza Damim Korah Ben Baros Beratz Tmeish Vushitargish Biyasi also. Right, any woman that blood leads the source. I'm not talking about the blood of a womb, from a wound. I meant to say it's not about, let's say, if she has hemorrhoids or she injured herself in that area, where the menstrual blood comes out from. Obviously, that blood that comes from a wound, right, a scar, hemorrhoids. It's blood has to come from the source. But if the blood coming from source, it makes a difference why it can't, whether it was by force because she was traumatized or agitated, whether it was totally expected and by will. She is immediately impure and therefore prohibited on her husband. But there's a complicated vusha targish, so she has to actually feel the blood come out. So it's an amazing chiddush in Hilchos Nida that we learn out from Sukkim, that the blood, even though biologically it's impossible that it came from anywhere else, but she should have felt something, should have felt the blood, coming out, right? Right, but now, as much as there's this leniency that it's only metame if it's blood from the source, only if she actually feels it. But adds the Shulchan Aruch, right? But there's a stringency on the other hand. If she feels, she's self-aware, and she could feel that blood has left, the source, and has left its place, she is already impure, even though it did not exit the body. Like she'll check her underwear and not see any blood, right? It's still she is still impure if she knows and she felt the blood leave the source. Now, even if she only saw like the smallest amount of blood, right, that came from the source with a feeling, the smallest amount of blood, it makes her impure, and she is not pure until she waits 7 days of 7 clean days, meaning the menstrual flow has to stop, and there has to be 7 whole clean days where there's no blood from the source. And only then she is, able to go to the mikveh and be reunited with her husband. Right, Vahainu, and that is, now he's explained. Right. Shekol dam mayotzim kor shel isha, any blood that comes from the source. I feel kosher, even if it's just the most minuscule amount, came from the right from the source with a feeling. Ben dam lach, ben dam yavesh. It makes no difference whether the blood came out like liquidy or came out like it was already coagulated. Right, makes no difference. She becomes impure with the impurity of nida. Now, once she sees this blood, right, the woman must separate from her husband, and they have all the halachas of nida. First, they cannot have intercourse, and also there are other protective measures that were instituted by Chazal. Now, the protective measures that were instituted by Chazal will come in chapter 5. Now, being this blood that comes from the source with a feeling makes every woman impure, whether she is single or married. So anyone who has relations with a woman who is in her menstrual cycle, whether she is a single woman or she is a man's lawfully wedded wife, either way, the person is chayav kores, he gets cut off, from his right. So it's the worst. It is the worst punishment. And in hand time, zoi ria samachs or ria chariga. Now, the blood that makes her tamei, which is even the most minuscule amount from the source with a feeling, it makes so there's where that blood was from a regular monthly cycle or was something out of the ordinary, right? Even if it was caused by external circumstances, like she was carrying a heavy item, or she fell, or she became frightened, right? Right. וגם בזמן שהיא מסלקת דמים, כמו בהרם, בזמן הנוקה, וכן בייסק נוסה, קטנוסה, now, even if it should be, it came at a time where it shouldn't have happened. It should not have happened. But it happened anyway, like she is pregnant, right? Or she is nursing, or she's already an old woman past menopause, or she's even underage. Makes no difference. If for whatever reason this freak accident happened, that blood from the source with a feeling comes out even the most minuscule amount, she's tamei nida, right? Even though it happened at a time when it ought not have happened, but if it happened, she is tamei nida. Kasher gisha isha sheya b'yitzias adam tumasa minat Torah, right? Ukeshelo gisha b'yitzias adam tumasa midrabanan. So now, any blood that comes from the source of the woman, makes her tamei, it gives her the din of a needle, like we explained. Now, when she felt it coming out, like we said, that's when she is tamei minat Torah, biblically, right? But let's say blood comes out, right, from the source, but she didn't feel it. So it's true. By biblical law, she's not impure, but the rabbis instituted that she's tamei anyway. She is tamei anyway, right? Rabbinically. And we'll get into that later, why the rabbis instituted that, right? Lemasa and called the Anusa and Shum of Dolim, Ator Matoro, Midrabon, Shkofin, Shalpi, Din, Yitzis, Mitama, Radina, Kadida, Kumula, Choldara, she is Bar, Yitzah Shem, Bemsha, Shkashi, Roa, Ketem, Blia, Goshi, Kil Chazal, Bedina, Bemikra, Misram, Shem, Nasini, Machmas, Mitzia, Saketem. Now, once a woman has a din of Anita, makes it whether it's biblical or whether it's rabbinic, right? Which in the case in point over here is whether blood came out with a feeling, blood came out without a feeling, right? There is no leniencies if a woman is only a nida midrabanan, is only a nida rabbinically. There is no leniencies, right? However, right, there is a certain leniency when the only indication that she may have had blood is that she finds stains. Under underpants or on the sheet that she sleeps on. So when finding a stain, right, And of course, finding a stain means that otherwise she had no clue, right? So, which means there was no feeling. So Chazal gave certain leniencies as to, or I should say, the let's put it like this: the whole fact that even a stain of blood would make her tamei midrabanan is a chiddush, right? So they put limitations on this chiddush that she should become tamei, right? Like, and we're going to learn about. So I don't have to say, but it has to be a certain minimal size. If it's only a ketan, if it's only a stain, and otherwise she has no clue, discovers a stain on her underwear or on the sheet that she sleeps on. No one else sleeps in that bed, right? No one else, right? There are a lot of leniency. Not, I shouldn't say leniencies, because the whole idea that finding a stain in the first place makes her tameis all midraban. If the only indication that there was blood is that stain, right? So but that chiddush has its limitations, as we will learn later. So let's not spoil the surprise. Okay, now we just turned the page. Like like I say in all things, whenever I teach something from a book, I am learning it with you. It's a chavrusa. So first of all, I encourage everyone to follow along inside. Let my reading every word inside not be in vain. Follow inside. Get the book Mar'eh Kohen and follow with me. Right, but also I just want to tell you that I did not necessarily prep everything ahead of time. I'm learning. Whenever I teach a book, I am learning it together with my audience in real time. It's a chavrusa, okay? So take it aside. Therefore, do not rely on me on any psak halacha. I'm learning the book with you. It's as if we're chavrusas, and maybe things that we'll learn later will force us to reevaluate certain things that we said earlier. Okay, so now this feeling that we mentioned, right? This feeling, what type of feeling? The blood's got to come with a feeling. So Argosha, so he explains, what is this feeling? So first of all, we're getting to the source of this halacha, that only a blood that she feels come out is metamet, it makes her impure and gives her din of anida. Right. So Amar Shmuel Bibsar, that says that that's the blood bleeds Bibsar in her flesh. So says Shmuel, in her flesh, meaning that it has to be felt in the flesh. That's the source. Bibsara. It is bleeding in her flesh, meaning she feels it. It feels it on her flesh. This is the source that we learn from the Bible, that a woman is not tamei to unless she feels the blood. The flesh has to feel the blood. But the blood comes out without a feeling. She is indeed still tamei mid-rabbanan. Right, the poskim have differed as to what is this feeling that Shmuel learned out from the Torah she has to feel. Das a Rambam. The Rambam holds, where's this Rambam? Parakeh Milchus Bia, Halacha Yud Zayin. 5th chapter of Halacha Yud Zayin. Excellent book. Gives all the sources. The Ram has a idea that which he writes in parentheses, highly uncommon, that her body shudders when the blood comes out. That's the Rambam. Das Trumasen, the Das Trumasadeshen, which is in Siman Reish Mem Vav, and the Shulchan brings, right, is something else that also most women don't feel, right? This is, I said, Trumasen Siman Reish Mem Vav. Right, Shisha Magash Shivzach Mekora, Gisha Mezu Mitsuya Kamet, so Mixadash Wagil, maybe just Deleth or Adam Yotze. Right, so the Trumash says that she actually feels the womb or the source open up, and he adds in parentheses that it's not highly common, but there are women that claim that they feel this. It's like either they feel that the source opened up, or they feel like as a door opened inside of them. Right, that's the feeling that makes her biblically anida. Now the Chasam Sefer added another possibility of what the Hargasha is, right? Which is not a contradiction to right, but rather, as he understands the Chasam Sofer, he is actually explaining Trumas Hadesh, and that's not like this mystical, opening up. That perhaps what Trumas Hadesh is kind of like the sting, like when a person holds in his urine for a long time, his or her urine is like a sting when it's released. There's like the sting. That's like that type of sting is, so it's not in the, he understands the Chassan Sofer is not saying it in addition, but he wants to claim that's what the Trumas Hadeshin meant. If I remember correctly, the Aruch HaShulchan says the exact same thing. Right? It's like a sting, right? 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 Das Hanoida B'Yehuda. Right? Now, the Noda B'Yehuda has a very stringent view. Right? 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 Even feeling the flow of liquid. Right? That, which is quite a stringency. Right? Even the feeling the flow of liquid is also called the hargasha that would make her biblically tamei. There are achronim that argue on this. He brings up here that Chassam Sofer argues on the Noda B'Yehuda, and he heard from his Rebbe, Rav Nassan Adler's Rebbe Muva, that feeling a liquidy flow is nothing. Okay, but it's a severe machlokas about an Isser D'Oraisa, it's a Chi of Kares. So understandably, we are not going to be, easily makel against the Noda B'Yehuda because we're talking about a Chi of Kares. But the Chassam Sofer argues, and I do believe the Aruch HaShulchan also agrees to Chassam Sofer that just the flow, liquidy flow, that's not the Argash Torah talked about, and it makes sense in the sense that liquidy flow are also sometimes secretions, But that's the shita Noda B'Yehuda, which we have to be, and even regarding that, so now the Noda B'Yehuda was very extreme. He himself said that even if the woman felt the flow of liquid in the most external part, of the opening, even the most external part, the far, quite a distance from the makor, from the source, but okay, she felt it there at the opening of the at the outer chamber. All right, that's enough to be called davar lach, and that feeling it would make her a biblical nida midaraisa ma'ashachi of kares. V'chavas das, but the chavas das, which is the nesivus, right? It's some Kovtzadi, right, and there are other achram that agree with him. They disagree, and they would limit the idea of zivas davar lach, right, the flow of a liquidy thing. When there's she feels like the flow of liquid from the source, coming out of the source, has to feel be an internal sensation of feeling liquid flow, right? And less than that, she would only be felt that sensation further down in the body, a distance from the, not from the makor, not from the source. It would only be a nida midrabanan. Okay, do a little bit more. Kola now all that we said, there's whole difference about this type of feeling, that type of feeling. That's, it's kind of academic in a sense. This is all for the biblical nida. The nida that's a chi of kares, and it's midaraisa. Achon timu gam ria bli agosh I come on presei bedina tzas kasem, right? Right. But it's academic in the sense that we keep rabbinic law, and Chachamim were metame any type of blood that you find, whether you felt it come out or not, right? But like we said, there are, when they made the chiddush regarding the discovery of blood on a foreign object, an object that was in contact with the woman, like her underwear, the sheet that she sleeps on, a towel that she wiped herself with. Right over there, when they were machadish that blood is also talking, they limited that chiddush to very particular circumstances. But what everyone agrees to, right, is that many women sometimes feel like wetness, by the opening to that place on the outside, or they feel wetness on the garment, that's, the underwear that's near that, the flesh, by that place, that is not called argosh according to anybody. A totally external feeling of wetness, external, out in the outer space of the body, right, is nothing. That everyone agrees, right? And also another thing, symptoms that a menstrual cycle is coming, like menstrual cramps, and sometimes nausea, throwing up, that are definitely a sign that something's happening, right? Those feelings do not constitute a hargosha, right? That would make her tamei midoraisa, and A and B. Therefore, if no blood was seen, so she's still tahor. But however, you do have to be wary that if she always has, it's like a sure sign, that or at least 3 times in a row, she always has menstrual cramps before the menstrual cycle, or she always feels nauseous, or she always throws up. So that could create what's called a vesed aguf, that when a sign that that provokes a that this is a clear sign, because a clear sign, it's a clear indicator for this woman, because it happened at least 3 times in a row, right? So there's halacha vesed kavua, that now she has to immediately separate from her husband and check out the situation until and she's not going to be mutter to her husband unless the situation has been clarified that there was nothing. Okay, but let's not get out of that. That will be explained in the 8th chapter. Okay, we'll stop here. We did a lot. Okay, I'm going to stick with this, and it'll be Marber Tahara and Yisrael, because with Marber Tahara and Yisrael, the Ruach HaTumah will be removed for the arts. Hashem HaMelech HaKol Arts, Hashem HaKadosh Malchad, Chol Chamasikim, Chol Seiso Mary Kareis Vaisal Hashem HaMlucha. Okay.